What's doing, everybody? Today is Thursday, July 31st. The great Roger Stone joins me on the podcast today. Kash Patel finds hidden files in a secret room in the FBI. Trump continues to make more great trades on the world stage. I'm AlecLace. This is the AlecLace Show.
The American family is under attack. Parents are the underdog of this nation. Your children are being indoctrinated. That's right. Your children. They do not belong to the state. They do not belong to the school system. They belong to you, the parents, as a blessing from God our Father. So let's preserve, protect, and fight for the American family together. You're listening to the AlecLace Show. The future is family.
All right, welcome everybody to the AlecLace Show. I'm happy and honored as always to be here with you guys. Thanks for tuning in. If you're watching the broadcast as it streams live on Rumble, please share the broadcast with everybody in your social network. Let's get as many people in that chat room and in this live stream as possible. Make sure you follow the podcast wherever you're listening. And let's get to it here. You know, I got the great Roger Stone joining me on the podcast today. On Tuesday, I had George Papadopoulos with me. These are two of many that were highly, highly affected by the Trump-Russia collusion hoax that went down, that now Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, is blowing the entire lid off of this entire thing and exposing it to the light. FBI Director Kash Patel found thousands of sensitive Trump-Russia probe documents inside burn bags in a secret room at the FBI. FBI Director Kash Patel has turned over the documents to the Senate Judiciary Committee Chairman Chuck Grassley. Now, it was just about a month ago or so, maybe more than that Kash Patel, the FBI director, was a guest on Joe Rogan's podcast, and he told him in that interview that immediately upon getting to the FBI, he found this secret hidden room in the FBI that was hidden away from the world, and thousands of documents, hard drives, computer disks, whatever it may be. He said this stuff was all hidden away from everybody so that it couldn't be found. Now we find this report here that there's thousands of Trump-Russia hoax documents in burn bags, which I would imagine is, getting set to hit the fire. You have to wonder how many documents have already been burned by the FBI director there, James Comey. This thing is the biggest political scandal, and I still can't believe how the mainstream media has chosen to play this, because they played a big part in spreading the hoax. They don't seem to want to play a part now in setting the truth. They don't want to setting the record straight. They seem to want to go along with, we're going to ignore it. When Tulsi Gabbard is giving her talk about and finding all this stuff, they cut away from her. So here's another big one. We got to see what happens, but what we need is accountability. I mean, these people have got to pay the price. The Comeys, the Clappers, they have all got to be arrested, investigated, arrested, and put in prison for what they did. They spied on this man's campaign. They undermined his election, and they caused so much panic and so much BS unnecessarily in our country for so long. So I hope we'll see the results of this. We want to see some accountability, but it looks like more and more is mounting up here, more and more evidence mounting up against Obama and his cronies. We have new documents that are out today. Senator Grassley really declassified a new batch. So this whole thing, we're getting more and more evidence of what happened here, and the dots are all connecting, and they're all leading right back to Barack Hussein Obama. And so we're going to have Roger Stone on here in just a little bit to talk about this, and another guy that went to prison because of the Trump-Russia hoax, the collusion between Barack Obama and the FBI and the intelligence agencies to set up President Donald Trump. I mean, this is the biggest story ever, and it's like it's not even given a sniff in the mainstream media, but that's intentionally, that is on purpose, and we know all about it. So a couple of things I want to get to first here. The GDP blew away expectations here, so that was the thing trending yesterday. The GDP second quarter report came out at 3%, of growth, and it crushed all the expectation. All the experts that were saying that the economy was going to be demolished, but it's not, and that's not what's happening. The GDP grew 3%. The inflation 2%. where they thought it would be over 2.2%. And so the inflation is lower than they predicted. The GDP growth is higher than where they predicted. And it's not that they predicted. Let's get this straight. These aren't predictions. This is what they're hoping for. This is what they want to point the public towards. And it's funny, they had the one guy on CNN who, they had Scott Jennings on there who does a great job trying to get him on the podcast here. But he was saying, hey, you told us that this whole thing was going to crash and burn because of the tariffs. So what happened? You told us back in April we were going to be in a recession. So what happened? Now the guy's they're all trying to play it down now. It's like, oh, well, let's wait. We have to wait more time. These trade deals still suck. We're still going to hit they just can't admit that they were wrong. So they have to move the goalpost. They have to move the bar to something else. And it's ridiculous to listen to. We should all be rooting for this. What side are you on here? We're rooting for the GDP to grow, but they're not. They're rooting against it, and they're trying to tell you, even though it's good that what's happening, well, it's not really good. It's bad, you see, because here's what's going to happen, and they're all liars and frauds. This is why CNN's ratings they're in the absolute toilet tank. No one's watching, and if you watch it, you have to be touched in the head. The only time I see any CNN is highlights on X where they're just putting their foot in their mouth again. So it's just sad to see, rooting against the country. When it was Joe Biden here, you didn't have to root. You didn't have to root against him because what he did was so disastrous. All you had to do was report what he was doing. It wasn't like I was rooting against him. You always want to see the country win, but the guy destroyed the country, and it didn't take him very long to do it. Trump is building it back up. They'll never give him credit no matter what he does or how good it is. His trade deals are working. We had another one yesterday that came out. He made this deal with South Korea, massive deal. South Korea investing $350 billion into the U.S.-owned projects handpicked by Trump, $100 billion for American LNG and energy products, more energy dominance. South Korea agrees to open trade policy, American cars, trucks, agriculture, 15% tariff on South Korean goods, 0 tariffs on American products. This is another one of these deals where it's like even the experts are saying they were wrong about all of these trade deals that Trump is being able to hammer out. And so it's just frustrating to hear the pundits talking about, trying to downplay it as if Trump isn't crushing it right now as it comes to trade and bringing in trillions of dollars to the United States. And they'll never let you know. You know what they want to do? And they talk about it. It's nonstop with the Medicaid. Millions of people are being kicked off Medicaid. And here's Senator John Barrasso yesterday saying 1.2 million illegal immigrants receive Medicaid benefits. 4.8 million able-bodied working-age adults are on Medicaid. That doesn't strengthen Medicaid. Democrats want to cut work requirements and fund free health care for illegal immigrants. It's not fair to everyone else. And that is the truth. It's like, they're like, oh, millions of people are going to get kicked off the thing. 4.8 million people that are able to work aren't working, and they're getting Medicaid. And you think guys like me, people like you, regular working class people, blue-collar workers, are going to give two shits that you're getting thrown off Medicaid? Not in a million years. We don't care. It's the same thing with the welfare system. It's overloaded. It's overrun. Everyone's taking advantage of it. And they look at you like the biggest sucker on the planet for getting up in the morning, going to work, working all day, coming home, and you're paying for these people that are loads, that are not taking advantage of these systems. Here's one here. Look at it. Look at this beauty here. You had this Candace Taylor. She was able to buy a Lamborghini while collecting Medicaid. The Department of Justice yesterday charged 324 people caught defrauding Medicaid for over $14 billion. How come we don't hear CNN talking about that? They care so much about the Medicaid system. Why don't they care about that? And that is the issue. We're getting screwed by it. So the American worker, if you want sympathy from me because people are not working because they don't want to, because they're taking advantage of the system, and now they're getting thrown off the system, you want me to feel sorry for them? There's not a chance. It's just like when they're showing these deportations. Oh, my God, he's a family man. He came here illegally. He's sucking up our resources. Send him the hell home. There's no sympathy here. Not for the people that are working like crazy out here, man. Trying to do it the right way. Putting in the work. And then they want you to feel sorry for the person that's cheating the system, is getting thrown off the Medicaid, the low-income system. We're supposed to feel sorry? No, and you've definitely seen it the way I see it. You go to the supermarket, and for me, I'm shopping. Family is six mouths to feed. So, if it ain't on sale, I ain't buying it. We do with a little bit less because it's expensive to shop for so many people. Food shopping, right? My daughter calls me a cheapskate. I say I'm I have financial discipline, right? Try to put it in a nice way, but it's the truth. Because if something that she wants, isn't on sale, I say, hey, not this week, maybe next week. Meanwhile, I pull my cart up there, and the lady in front of me has got a whole mountain full in her cart. And she's got, new earrings, a new hairstyle, beautiful nails are all done, wearing a great dress, right? New kicks, looking good. And then here come that EBT card, wipes out the whole thing, 300-something worth of groceries, all paid for by me and you. And you're like, is this person really on food stamps here? What's going on? They look healthy. They're dressed well. They got a brand new iPhone. They got jewelry on that looks pretty real. How is this person in poverty here? And so you say, these people aren't in poverty. They're gaming the system. And that's what makes us sick and tired of it. It's one thing if you need it. We all understand. We want to help. We want to help the less fortunate. Nobody's more caring about that than Americans. We want to help the misfortune, the unfortunate, right? That's what we want to do. And we do it better than any other country does on the planet. We're willing to give. But we want to do it honestly. We don't want to be conned. We don't want to be hustled. And this Medicaid system is a hustle for so many people. Same with our welfare, the whole system. It's a hustle. A few years ago, I got 4 kids. 3 of them are 3 boys. A few years ago, when we had a lot of snow, they wanted to go out and shovel the driveways. So they went out. If you remember, I did it as a kid. Many of you on the East Coast here, we all did it as kids. We went and shoveled driveways, hustled up some money. My sons went out to go do that, right? One of them didn't want to do it. So he stayed home. So I used that to kind of explain what I'm talking about here with this Medicaid welfare system. So I said to my 2 boys that did go out and work and shovel and made the money, I explained to them, I'd say, hey, listen, this is exactly what's going on here, and I can use this to explain this. My one son who stayed home did it voluntarily. He was able to work the shovel. He could easily have gone out and helped. He chose not to do it. So if I were to tell the other 2 when they came home, hey, a third of the money that you made, take 1/3 from each of you and give it to your brother that didn't go out there, they'd be like, what are you talking about? Why would I do that? Because that's what we're doing. We're going to give it to him. He's the misfortune. He's the impoverished person here. He's the one on the system. We got to help him out. But he was able to work. He's healthy, and he was able to work. But he chose not to do it. Is that fair to the 2 that went out there working to make them pay for this guy to get a third? No. But if he was sick, if he had a broken arm, if there was something that stopped him from being able to go out there and work, we say, hey, listen, it's not fair. Your brother's got, he's sick. He wants to go. He can't do it. Let's kick in a third. A third of what you make, we'll give to him. Then you have an easy sell. It's like, yeah, of course. He wants to go do it, but now he can't do it because he's got a broken arm or he's whatever it is. That's how we feel when it comes to this Medicaid, Medicare, welfare bullshit. That's how it feels. If you're sick, if you're injured, you have some kind of real serious problem, and you can't get out there to work, we understand. We're going to help, and we want to help. If you're breaking the laws of the country and you're here illegally and you're on Medicaid, you got to get off. If you're a healthy individual that's able to get out there and work and you're getting Medicaid, you're getting welfare, you got to get off the system. And there's no sympathy about it. But the Democrats make it sound like it's regular, hardworking, healthy Americans that are losing their health care. It's not. It's people that are hustling the system. So anyway, I don't want to harp on it any more than that. It's just, it just sucks because there's so many, and this is the big reason why Trump got elected in the first place. The working person in the country is tired of getting screwed in this country. Tired of it. And we see it all the time, and everyone's laughing at us. All right. Just a couple of things here to touch on, too, before, because one of the other things that went viral was this woman, these couple people in Cincinnati. these white people that were beaten severely by these black people in this little brawl that broke out. And so it went viral. And this councilwoman in Cincinnati, her remarks, I'm sure you guys have all seen this by now. Now her ex account is gone. She deleted a lot of her social media. But here's the picture of this girl that was, just pummeled in this thing. This white girl pummeled by a black guy. And, of course, the media wants no part of this. But here's this black councilwoman in Cincinnati, Victoria Parks, says they begged for that beatdown. I am grateful for the whole story. So here's the face of the girl that was beaten. And here's the comment again. She says, they begged for that beatdown. I am grateful for the whole story. Now, to me, we've had a lot of outrage about the Hulk Hogan thing, right? Because the things that he said, they were bad years ago, so now we have to hold that with Hulk Hogan for his legacy. What this councilwoman said is 100 times worse than anything Hulk Hogan ever said. Number one, it's obviously it's racist. She's celebrating the beating of a white woman, and she's celebrating an ass kicking and an attempted murder. She's celebrating it. So people that were all crying and screaming about words, where are you now? How do you say something like this? How do you celebrate and say you're grateful? I mean, this woman was almost dead. So, and there's a big to-do about how this whole thing is being handled. It's like, but it's one of those things with the media bias. We're going to constantly see it. They only play up one angle of this, and it's not even close. Like, and we all say the same thing. If the races were reversed, of course. If the races were reversed, number one story on CNN. Number one story on all the media channels. But because it was white people beaten by black people, the only way they're going to be able to do this is if they can find a way to make the black people the victim in the story. That's it. And that's the game they play. So, and of course, they play up the whole angle. Joe Biden will tell you, white supremacy. Joe Biden told you that white supremacy was the greatest threat in our nation, right? White people, they're the problem, right? But during his presidency, if you take a look at the crimes, how many white people were murdered by black people during Joe Biden's presidency? It's 2,300. 2,300 is the estimate of white people murdered by black people while Biden was president. How many black people were murdered by white people? 585. Okay, so there's your difference. But he's telling you that the one now, and you got to remember, one of them is way overrepresented. There's way more white people than black people. Yet they murdered 585 black people, and black people murdered 2,300 white people. So, but if you look at the coverage and you look at the media, you would think these white people are wiping blacks off the face of the earth. That's what they want you to believe. Not true. Anyway, it's more of that nonsense. One of the other things I wanted to bring up here too, they're talking about the Hulk Hogan thing, was this guy Joey Swole. This guy went viral. He's a big bodybuilder, something like that. Apparently, his childhood idol was Hulk Hogan, so he put up like a appreciation post after Hulk Hogan died. The left came at him and attacked him. Oh, Hulk was a racist and all this other stuff. So the guy puts out. He's so tired of getting beat up by the left wing mob. He comes out with an apology video, crying the blues. Oh, thank you for educating me, and I didn't know these things, and I apologize for putting this up. And now the left still doesn't forgive him, and now the right is like, this guy's a fraud. They hammer him for apologizing. This guy lost the handle on everything. And he's a guy that used to post like, one of the best things in my life was when I stopped caring what other people think. Another fraud, right? Another one of these guys that's out there telling you not to worry about what other people think. But the minute that he gets hammered, he folded like a cheap suit. You're not allowed to celebrate Hulk Hogan because of something he said 15, 20 years ago, and it offended people. People have lost the plot, man. And just like you see this other thing. Here, the last thing before I bring on Roger Stone here, because I'm getting late here. The Sydney Sweeney ad for American Eagle has triggered all these people. And then Dunkin' Donut comes out with an ad that's triggering people even more because it's two white people in these advertisements. And the one, obviously, Sydney Sweeney, it's a jeans commercial. She's young, blonde hair, blue eyed. She says she's got nice jeans. She's got good jeans. It's a play on words. She's wearing the jeans for American Eagle. She's got good jeans because she's blonde hair, blue eyed, which represents like 0.01% of the whole population on the planet. It's a very rarity. She's blonde hair, blue eyed. She's beautiful, and the left gets outraged over it. It's eugenics. It's Naziist. They're Nazis by doing this. They're celebrating their white heritage. They're blonde hair, blue eyed Nazis. That's what we hear from the left. And it's like you have people like black people offended by this. You have, of course, if black people are offended by it, white liberal women are offended by it. And you see all these videos now crushing the American Eagle ad. People are so fake outraged over it. Oh, my God, I can't go shop there. They're Nazis. Then you had Dunkin' Donuts with a white kid talking about his genes and genetics. And he's got a good tan and he's, enjoying the summer. And people are like so offended by this. There hasn't been straight white people in commercials in like 10 years. Now that they're in the commercials, everyone's melting down over it. But here's the interesting thing. They're saying that Dunkin' Donuts and American Eagle ads they're Nazis for having those ads. The interesting thing is the people that own both of those businesses are Jewish. So what they're saying is that the Jewish people that own American Eagle and Dunkin' Donuts are Nazis. Now, how crazy is that? And it also gives way to the people that are saying that the Jewish people are responsible for everything, saying, oh, look, it's more Jewish people putting people against one another. So it's like the whole thing. It's like, can't we just have a basic commercial with good-looking people selling a product anymore? Everything has to be so crazy. It's just wild how all this stuff has gone on. Anyway, let's get into the stuff here with the Trump Russia. We know we had the new documents that dropped. Nancy Pelosi, yeah, she's losing her bird anyway. She went crazy on CNN yesterday because they talked about insider trading. And Nancy Pelosi blew a gasket because Trump said Nancy Pelosi should be investigated, which she should. She's better at picking stocks than Warren Buffett over her career. I mean, how is that possible? Oh, my husband does it. Well, where does he get the information? So anyway, that's all nonsense. But we have Tulsi Gabbard, who is crushing it and shining light on this entire Russia collusion scandal. And here, and I'm going to bring Roger on. Here's what we're talking about here. Look at what they did to Roger Stone. And if you remember, Tucker Carlson reported on this. They came with a full FBI hit squad, right, to get Roger Stone, who was like 66 years old at the time. They came to arrest him for lying to Congress was his charge. And who shows up before the FBI shows up? CNN. A CNN van pulls up to Roger Stone's house to record an exclusive. What a coincidence. And here comes the full weight of the FBI, guns drawn, surrounding his house. Here comes Roger he's in a T-shirt and he's got no shoes on. But he's also classically wearing a Roger Stone did nothing wrong T-shirt. And they arrest him at his house. Imagine this. And the whole story was BS. The whole thing was BS. Just like Papadopoulos had to go to prison, they stick Roger Stone in prison. And it's amazing what they did. And now we have the goods on all these people, and we're not arresting anybody. So it's frustrating for me. I can't even begin to imagine how frustrating it is for people like Roger Stone who were in it. So I'm honored to get him back on the podcast here. Let's bring him on.
Hi, I'm Emily, and I'm at the White House with my dad, and you're watching The AlecLace Show.
You're listening to The AlecLace Show. The future is family.
All right, joining me now, Roger Stone. Welcome back to The AlecLace Show.
Great to be with you again.
It's awesome to see you here. Listen, I just had George Papadopoulos on Tuesday. I'm trying to get General Flynn back here next week. And it's just for guys like me, aggravated over the whole Trump-Russia thing for years. I can't even imagine what it's like for you guys that went through all this, had to go to prison and all this nonsense. So first of all, what's your take on what we're getting right now about Tulsi Gabbard blowing the doors off this whole thing?
Well, personally, I feel completely and totally vindicated. If you think about it, Alec, I was convicted of lying under oath about the Russian collusion. But how does one lie about something that didn't happen? The judge specifically said in this harangue in which he attacked me in sentence, he said, you were convicted of covering up for Donald Trump. Covering up what? The Russian collusion? There was no Russian collusion. There also was no WikiLeaks collaboration. So I give huge credit to Tulsi Gabbard, the director of national intelligence. She has wrenched this information from the deep state. She's laid it out for all to see. So this is no longer speculation or investigative journalism. These are hard, cold facts. And it's very clear that Barack Obama himself was the leading perp. He was the guy running the greatest single dirty trick in American political history. It was an abuse of power in which they used the full authority of the United States government and the extraordinary capabilities of our intelligence agencies using two pieces of completely fabricated evidence. The Steele dossier, paid for by Hillary Clinton, a total fraud, claiming falsely that Donald Trump had dallied with prostitutes in Russia when he visited there as a private citizen, and the false claim that the Democrat National Committee was the target of an online hack by Russian intelligence, which there is no evidence to support that whatsoever. It's like John Brennan, it's true because John Brennan said it was, which is absurd in itself. So I think that there are sphincters puckering all over Washington today. Comey, Brennan, Rosenstein, Clapper. This is a rogues gallery. And the real question boils down to this, Alec. Do we have a two-tier justice system in which these people walk, where people like General Flynn and I and Paul Manafort, who really didn't do anything wrong, were prosecuted? Or are we going to recalibrate the scales of justice here? And are these people going to pay for this incredible political crime?
Yeah, do they show up at gunpoint at their doors like they did to you guys? Like, is that what we're going to see? You know, it's now talk about John Brennan. He said that the Steele dossier was not used to create the FISA warrant to spy on Trump. That's what he said. Now, and he said it under oath. So that is a material lie. Look, when I testified before the House Intelligence Committee, I did make several misstatements, but they're all innocuous. None of them, they didn't hide any underlying crime. They're irrelevant. Whereas in the case of John Brennan, he specifically said that the Steele dossier was not used to justify the FISA warrants, was not used to justify the Mueller investigation. We now know that that was a material lie. Yeah, and that's why we want to see justice. Now, what do you make of this? Kash Patel, about a month ago, Kash Patel was on Joe Rogan's podcast, and he said that when he first got to the FBI, that they found this secret room that was hidden from the world by Brennan or by Comey, I should say, and others. And now we learned that he found thousands of documents related to this Russia collusion hoax that were in burn bags. So what do you make of that? I mean, in
all honesty, one of my great concerns all along here has been, and I've experienced this firsthand, even if you catch these people completely red-handed, as Tulsi Gabbard has now done, if they go to trial in the District of Columbia in front of a left-wing activist judge and an all-Democrat jury, no one will be convicted no matter how egregious the crime may be. Kash Patel, I think, by investigating this as a conspiracy, both, I think, can overcome the question of the statute of limitations. Look, John Durham took 5 long years to figure out what John Solomon and Lee Smith and Paul Sperry and some of these other great investigative journalists already figured out. Why did he take so long? I'll tell you why. He wanted to make sure that Hillary and John Podesta and Robbie Mook and McCabe, Brennan, Clapper, none of these people could be prosecuted. That's why they took their time. I think that Kash Patel has figured out a way around that so that these people can be held accountable.
And one of those things is that, you know, I was asking George about this on Tuesday. We're hearing that Obama can be impeached. Therefore, we can forget about his presidential immunity because Trump said, yes, Obama has the presidential immunity. That'll protect him. He should thank me for that. But now we're hearing, what is your take on it? Could Barack Obama, is there a way to do that post?
Here's the beauty of it. This is the argument that the Democrats made during Trump's impeachment. So as David Schoen, who was one of Trump's very best criminal defense lawyers in the impeachment proceedings, pointed out, this is their argument. They're being hoisted on their own argument, which means Barack Obama could be impeached And if he were impeached, he would therefore lose his immunity. It can be done theoretically, at least from a legal point of view.
Well, and then that leads to the question, do you think we will see the arrests? I mean, that's what we were all waiting for, is the arrest. Do you think we will actually see the arrest and some accountability here? And what's your faith that we're going to see that?
Well, let's put Obama aside, because
Right.
to impeach him would still require 2/3 of the U.S. Senate. I don't,
Fair.
despite the fact that I think he deserves to be impeached, I don't think that's likely to happen. But yes, I actually think that Brennan and Clapper and Comey, among others, are going to be charged. Now, this all depends on Pam Bondi, the Attorney General of the United States, and I have called on her to bring prosecutions, as has General Flynn, and many others. A lot of the people behind you on the wall there. So, but it's going to be up to the Justice Department. I think she will do the right thing, but until we impanel a grand jury and we actually produce indictments, nothing is for sure. I don't think we need to study this anymore. I don't think we need a. We may need a special prosecutor. Let me rephrase that. We may need a special counsel. A special prosecutor would have to be confirmed by the U.S. Senate, and that would become a fight in itself. But the Justice Department today can impanel a grand jury and begin indicting people. And we know the hit list: Comey, Brennan, Rice, McCabe, Rosenstein. I mean, it's a rogues gallery. It really is.
And that's the thing, is like, we're investigating. Yes, we've done the investigating here. It seems like we have the evidence that we need. It's time to start making movements, where the Democrats, when they didn't even have what they needed, they made the arrests. They started arresting people and threw people in jail. And that's the difference between the Democrats and the GOP, that seems to be spineless when it comes to actually taking action and holding people accountable.
Well, it remains to be seen. Look, I think Kash Patel is doing a great job. But Kash Patel is not the one who decides who gets charged. Kash Patel can only investigate a crime and hand the fruits of that investigation over to the Department of Justice. Then the Attorney General and her assistants have to make a decision. So for people to say to Kash Patel, well, nobody's been charged, that's not his responsibility. I think he's doing a great job. And he came up with a way that we could, theoretically, I think, as I say, get beyond the 5-year statute of limitations, and also bring this case to trial someplace other than D.C.
Yeah, and I agree, because I know that would be the slam dunk for them. But I do think that that's what it is. It's just going to take, I know we say patience, you got to trust the plan, you got to wait, but it's like, we want to see some of this accountability. Now, you say the Department of Justice, a lot of people disappointed with Pam Bondi now, especially because of the Epstein. I want to get your take on this, because we just had the other day Trump on the plane talking about Epstein taking girls from Mar-a-Lago, which was all well documented. The one being Virginia Giuffre, and then, or whatever, I was thinking of saying her name wrong there, but she had already came out and said and testified that Trump had never done anything wrong. She never seen him take part in anything, and she actually endorsed him for president the second time around. So what is your take? It started out as a debacle. Have they made a turnaround? Have they made a pivot in the way that they're handling this whole thing?
Well, Alec, first of all, I think I probably know more about this case than just about anyone, because in my 2015 book, The Clintons' War on Women, the longest chapter in the book is about Jeffrey Epstein. I went and read every word of the pleadings and the sworn testimony in Virginia Roberts Giuffre's case, also cases of other women who did not agree to settle with Epstein. Donald Trump cut Jeffrey Epstein off in 2005. That was before Epstein was exposed as a pedophile. It was before he was charged in Florida. And there's no inconsistency here. What I have been saying is that Epstein made an indecent advance to an underage girl. And what Trump says, well, he was trying to steal one of my employees. It's the same person. It's Virginia Giuffre, and she was underage. So there's no inconsistency there. And at that point, he bans Epstein from all of his properties. This idea that Donald Trump had some inappropriate or illegal activity, there's no witness to that. Trump never goes to his New York apartment, never goes to his Paris apartment, never goes to his island, never goes to his New Mexico ranch. And according to the documents I read, he was only at his Palm Beach home once, and that was for a public fundraiser for a charity. And he stayed for 15 minutes, and Virginia Giuffre was there, and she said she saw no inappropriate activity by Donald Trump. So, the Democrats jumping up and down about the idea that Trump or the Republicans are withholding the list. Dick Durbin, the senator from Illinois, actually pushed a law to prevent the list from being disclosed several years ago. I can tell you right now, of the political figures who visited that island, there are no Republicans. How do you know that? People say, how would you know that? People keep saying, Stone knows that because he was on the island himself. That's nonsense. I know it because I read all of the pleadings. I had the little black book that was first produced by Nick Bryant in Gawker magazine. I had the FAA manifest that shows you everyone who went on the plane and who went where. And Bill Clinton is on the plane 28 times. Of that, there is no doubt. But in a large number of those trips, Alec, he dumps his Secret Service detail. He doesn't take them with him, which is very, very odd. And it's very clear from the sworn testimony of several of those who sued Epstein that Clinton was definitely on the island. Donald Trump was never on the island.
Well, this is what baffles me then here too about the Democrats, because we know damn well that the only thing that they care about is trying to get Trump. If it was no chance to get Trump, when that comes out proven beyond reasonable doubt, Trump had nothing to do with it. The Democrats drop the Epstein case like a wet towel. They want nothing to do with it at that point. So why do you think it is that they're willing to risk it? The fact that there's so many Democrats tied to this Epstein thing to try to go after it when they know that Trump, just like you said, with the evidence shows that Trump wasn't involved. What's their play here? Do they have confidence that the list will never come out, that this stuff will never get solved, and that's why they're making it seem like they're interested?
I can be honest with you, Alex. I think at a certain point they start to believe their own bullshit. So they actually thought that they would find evidence of Russian collusion, and of course, there's none. There were political figures on the island. Senate Majority Leader George Mitchell, a Democrat. Governor Bill Richardson of New Mexico, a Democrat. Bill Gates, a Democrat. So there were some political figures on the island, but they're not going to find what they think they're going to find. I think that it's very, very phony. They don't want to talk about the economy. They don't want to talk about the fact that in June, for the first time since 2015, we actually ran a surplus. They don't want to talk about these incredible accomplishments at our border, where illegal border crossings have dropped by 98%. They don't want to talk about the largest single deportation of dangerous criminal aliens in American history. So we have to talk about the Epstein case. And there just is there, as far as Donald Trump is concerned, there is no there there. And I hope they get what they asked for. They're going to find that any political figure went on the island was a Democrat.
Yeah, it's going to come back.
I know that from the FAA manifests that show you who flew to the island.
And that would be the ultimate for it to just come back and bite them in the ass. But I just hopefully we get some kind of ending to this. But you're going to keep it as much as they can until something happens, because it's their play. Like you said, we just had the GDP growth higher than expectations. The economy is doing better than expectations. All the experts were wrong from Liberation Day that said the economy was going to tank because of what Trump did with the tariffs. Now they're all wrong and they don't want to talk about it.
Well, but now I guess it took me a little while to finally understand what the president was saying. When he said it was a hoax, he didn't mean that Epstein was not a child sex trafficker. That's not what he meant. What he meant was all of these key documents have been in the hands of the Southern District of New York, the most left-wing, Trump-hating prosecutors in the federal system, and the New York office of the FBI. And therefore, there's a high probability that these documents have been tampered with, that they've been salted. For example, with this phony birthday card. Who types a birthday card? Who types a birthday card? If you're going to give someone a birthday card, you write it out. It doesn't even sound like Donald Trump. It's so obviously a fraud. So I think that's what he meant when he said it's a hoax. The documents, which have not been made public, which have been in the hands of the federal prosecutors, why are we just now interviewing Ghislaine Maxwell? How is it possible that Damian Williams, the Democrat U.S. attorney and New York prosecutor, but he never once interviewed her or he never once cross-examined her? That seems very strange to me.
It does to me. I've always been asking that, even during Biden's term there. Why don't we have these jailhouse interviews with Ghislaine Maxwell, We've seen them interview like Jeffrey Dahmer and all these Charles Manson, all these serial killers. Where's the one-on-ones with this girl? She holds the keys to all this. So do we finally get her testimony? Do you think she's actually going to go before Congress and we'll get it?
I'd like to see that. I mean, first of all, how do you indict somebody for conspiracy but not indict any of the other conspirators?
Mhm.
The Diddy case, the Maxwell case, it's the same. It's the same construct. So the Maxwell case was designed to fail. They didn't interview any of his co-conspirators. Very strange. Same thing's true with Maxwell. And of course, I'm sorry, but I just don't think Jeffrey Epstein killed himself. The inspection by Dr. Michael Baden, one of the most respected pathologists in the country, the longtime New York medical examiner, a guy who said that he has done autopsies in 1,000 hanging cases, said that the 3 broken bones in Epstein's neck were inconsistent with the idea that he hung himself by a sheet. But did they check that sheet for DNA to see whose DNA was on it? I guess Bill Barr forgot to do that, huh?
The whole thing doesn't sound right. Then they released a tape that was missing a minute, and then that whole thing. That's what I mean. The whole optics of this was a debacle. The way this thing was brought forth, especially with the binders, the Epstein files, and that whole thing was a very bad optic. It should have just came right to this. Hey, let's get Maxwell out here. Let's get her to start with that. That's where we got to begin.
Now, I agree. I'd like to see her testify before Congress under oath. I have no fear of that whatsoever. It will not reflect badly in any way on Donald Trump.
Well, last thing I want to get your take on here before I get you out of here is because the last time I had you on here, he was just releasing the JFK files, and I know you've written about that extensively. And what did we learn? I mean, all these unclassified documents. Did we get any closer to the truth? Did you find anything new?
It's not over yet. Just last week, Anna Paulina Luna announced a huge breakthrough. For many, many years, decades, the Russians have been unwilling to give us their files on Lee Harvey Oswald. Now, the successor to the KGB has agreed to hand all of that information over. There's still 10 or 12 key documents or key transcripts or key videos that she has not been able to get because there are elements in the deep state that continue to hold back information. But yes, we had a major breakthrough roughly 2 weeks ago. The CIA told us for 6 decades that they weren't tracking Oswald. They didn't know who Oswald was. That turns out to be completely false. They finally turned over documents that showed that there was a CIA counterintelligence operative who was tracking Oswald, who was reading his correspondence, was in essence his handler. That is a major breakthrough. And they orchestrated this street scuffle in New Orleans where Oswald gets arrested after handing out pro-Castro flyers, gets into a street fight. That was designed to establish the idea that Oswald was pro-communist, that he was pro-Russian, pro-Castro. It was part of the setting up of Oswald as a patsy. And the CIA has finally admitted their involvement in putting Oswald there. Here's what's interesting. Oswald gets into a street fight in New Orleans. First of all, the address on the flyer that he's handing out is the office address of the local FBI informant, Guy Bannister. But secondarily, Oswald is arrested. He goes to the Dallas police office. He has one phone call. Who does he call? His lawyer? His wife? No, he calls the head of the FBI, and 30 minutes later, he's out on the street.
Wild. Now, do you think so far, as of what we've gotten so far, do you think what we've seen has pretty much corroborated what you've written about, your feeling on all this, or do you think it's taking you in a different direction?
No, there's just a lot of things missing. Look, I think they have established the CIA's involvement in Kennedy's murder. There's still a number of pieces, but they've lied about their knowledge of him. Completely missing is the involvement of organized crime. In 1978, the House Select Committee on Assassinations concluded that organized crime had been involved in John Kennedy's murder. Yet none of these documents have anything to do with organized crime. So Carlos Marcello, who was the gangster who ran the mob in Louisiana and Texas, was being recorded on a bug in his jail cell both before and after the assassination. The Assassination Records Review Board in the late 90s had those recordings. Where are they now? Where are they now?
Man. What a tangled web we weave. Roger Stone, what do you got coming up on the Stone Zone here? I know where you can find. I got the link down in the description below. What do you got coming up?
It's interesting to me that Tom Cotton, a Republican from Arkansas, is trying to limit the authority of Tulsi Gabbard to declassify documents. So if Cotton had his way, Tulsi Gabbard would not have been able to expose the entire Russian collusion hoax. Why in the world would he want to do that? Now, some of the media tell you it's about cutting the size of her staff. In fact, she herself has a plan to cut the number of employees in her department in half. It's not about that. It's about limiting her authority to declassify the secrets of the deep state. That's what Tom Cotton of Arkansas is trying to do.
Wow, this is crazy stuff. Roger Stone, always grateful that you take the time to speak with me. Love to have you back on. God bless you, and thanks for joining me today on the AlecLace Show.
Great to be with you, Alec.
All right, grateful for the great Roger Stone joining me on the podcast here. What you guys think about the interview? Hit me with a comment down below. Don't forget, he's got the Stone Zone. Every book that he's got is a bestseller out there. You got to check him out. He's always on WABC. You can hear him on the radio on the weekends. He's got the Stone Zone over on Rumble here, right on Rumble. So go check him out. And again, the JFK thing is very frustrating for me. I don't know. It just seems like everything is pointing us, in this direction. It's like, give us the answer here. Give us the final result. What is the story here? And it seems like that's the way it is with the government. When the government is involved in it and it's their fault, they're going to point you in an 80 million page dossier. Oh, look, you got to follow the trail. Follow the trail. It's everywhere out there. It's here. It's within you. That's the answer. If they're pointing you in all these other directions, when it's something else, we get the definite answer. When it's the government, we get this big 30,000 page document to read. Oh, we have all these declassified files. When it's 100% not the government, we get a direct answer on what the responsibility, what happened. When the government's involved, it's 80 million pages that are classified. So whatever, that stuff's frustrating. And frustrating, too, is the Obamagate. I know Roger Stone saying there that it's going to ultimately come to the Department of Justice. There has to be a grand jury that's going to indict. They say you can indict a ham sandwich. We saw that during Biden's term. Will we see the results? You lose faith a little bit. If you're like me a little bit, you lose faith because we haven't seen the results that we need to see. And that's the other thing, too. The Democrats are, you hear like Cory Booker going off and Gavin Newsom, and they're talking about like, Trump's doing this. And it's like, listen, we just had 4 years. You had 4 years. The Democrats had the White House, they had the Senate, and they had the House. They had all three branches of government. And what did they do? They destroyed the country. They opened the border intentionally, flooded the country with illegals, prices went up, inflation went through the ceiling, their policies sucked, they started promoting men and women's sports. Like, everything was out of whack. Everything was gay, and everything was anti-American, and we saw what you're all about. You think now you're making an argument like, oh, let's go back to where we were when the Democrats were in rule? No, if you had it. You had the ball in your court. You had the presidency, you had the House, and you had the Senate. You had the opportunity to make your case right there. And we all got to see what you did. Everything went downhill. That's why Trump won in a landslide in the last election, because you had the opportunity. And now the Democrats are making it sound as if like, oh, you got to vote for us. Why? We just seen what you did. So, ain't buying into any of that nonsense with what they're selling. If it wasn't for the fact that and then when they asked even Kamala Harris, hey, what would you do differently than Joe Biden? She said, oh, I wouldn't change a thing. She said that on The View. And then her handlers asked the people at The View if they could re-ask that question again so she could answer it differently, and they never did it. This was the woman why they were editing her videos on CBS, on 60 Minutes and all this stuff, because she's a fraud. Everyone got a chance to see what the Democrats... And you know what? The election, number one, with the fraud that was involved in it from the Democrats trying to boost the numbers, Trump won an even bigger landslide. And if it wasn't just for the fact that you had the Trump haters in there that are just like, they're going to vote against Trump, they'd rather live in poverty than have Trump be president and take them out of it because they're touched in the head. And that's the truth. One of the other things that was trending yesterday was that he fell asleep while Dr. Oz was talking, right? They're like, oh, look, he closed his eyes for a few seconds, and they're going crazy on him. We know they just jumped down him with the medical stuff. They're like, oh, is he fit to be? And it's like almost like mocking themselves when they do it, because we just saw 4 years of them not asking Joe Biden about his mental health when the guy was clearly didn't even know where he was walking on. We all watched it in real time, and they were denying it. And now they're telling you like, oh, Trump, oh, look, he's falling asleep. He's tired. He's old. He's not healthy. I don't even know how you could listen to it with a straight face. Here's a glimpse of what it was like. I want to play this for you to look at. This is a glimpse of what it was like during Trump's first term. This was his first term when he had his medical examination, and the guy came out with the medical report. Listen to how the media responded to this, and then compare it to what you heard during Biden's 4 years in office when he had obvious mental health issues. But listen to the way that they responded with the first health report from President Donald Trump during his first term. Take a listen.
Eats McDonald's and fried chicken and all those Diet Cokes and who never exercises is in as good a shape as you say he's in.
You mentioned that you gave the president a cognitive test. Was that the mini mental state examination or the Boltzmann test? Or if not, can you tell us what specific cognitive test?
Do you have a life expectancy range for him based on his results? Number two, what exactly does the exercise and eating plan look like? Is it you're going to put an elliptical machine next to the bedroom and he's going to use it? What does that look like? And then also number three, did you see any evidence of bone spurs, which the president said that he suffered from?
There isn't anything that's a part of the president's health records or his overall physical fitness or any medications that he's taking that you're not permitted to tell us. Is there anything you're keeping from us for privacy reasons?
Can you say, given that there's scrutiny of what was overlooked at the time with President Reagan in terms of Alzheimer's and things he was then known to suffer from at a later date, can you say that whether the test that you ran would exclude any of those things and what the possibility of overlooking something like that would be?
Are you confident of his prostate health? You recited a very low PSA. You're certain that's not a product of finasteride masking?
A waist measurement for the president. His weight, I think he's at 239, right? I think that's just shy of obesity.
In continuing his physicals in the future, will you also continue the cognitive test?
It's recommended that most baby boomers get screened for hepatitis C. Did you do a hep C test, or has he had one previously?
You talked a little bit about his diet here at the White House. Can you flesh that out a little bit? What specifically is he eating? Is he eating lots of chicken and fishes and white meat? And also, does he take any sleep aids?
Can you say whether your prediction of good health and no serious events for years to come still holds if the president does not make changes to his diet and start to exercise? Is that still your professional medical opinion? And then also, can you just tell us how long the examination was, sort of start to finish, and how many people were involved?
Was there anything that the president or anyone else specifically said for you not to mention today? Some of the president's friends have told reporters in the past they think he's a germaphobe, that he washes his hands obsessively and is concerned about that. Have you seen any indication of that type of behavior?
How would you characterize the president's health to an average 71-year-old American male?
He has evidence of heart disease and he's borderline obese. Can you characterize that as excellent health?
When the president has colonoscopy at the next physical, will he be sedated?
There's been a lot of speculation out there about his cognitive state.
Did he express any change in how stressful this job or lack of stress that he has experienced as a result of becoming president? Could you take us through some specific exercises that you and the president are considering?
The seated sort of aspect of television watching versus the active lifestyle part of it.
All the doctors and clinicians all across the country who have said that in this president they see symptoms of this, that, and the other.
You said you're not sure how much sleep you get tonight, but you assume it's between 4 to 5 hours. Does that concern you?
And does this president ask you about how he could follow his predecessor's example to be as fit as Barack Obama was?
All right, so how wild and crazy. Now compare that. Joe Biden obviously having medical issues. Oh, geez. It was all niceties. What kind of flavor ice cream do you like? It was never any of this attacks like you got from Trump. I mean, it was wild. I mean, they tried to do everything they could possibly to Trump, so it's frustrating. So, anyway, that's that. Back to the Kash Patel and the documents. We had the documents released today. Senator Grassley was on Fox talking about it. Now we have George Soros allegedly tied to the Russiagate. That's coming out in these documents as well. The whole thing is running deep, and the media doesn't care to cover it, and it's getting very frustrating. And this is why I'd say all of it is for nothing if no one pays the price. If they don't show up to Brennan's house, to Comey's house, the way that they showed up to Roger Stone's house, then all of this is for nothing. They raided Mar-a-Lago, right? Over the what was that over? The files. Oh, he took files from the White House. It's like we want to see the same thing being played out, because here's the difference. Like the Roger Stones and the George Papadopoulos and the General Flynn's, these are guys that didn't even do anything wrong. These are guys, they were accused of something that was fake to begin with. And the people that faked it and made it all up got away scot-free. And now we're saying we want accountability for it, and they're like, oh, now look at you. You're being a conspiracy theorist. What are you talking? You're a dictator. You're going after your political enemies. These are the guys that actually did the crimes. So as many more details come out, the more this stinks. And, it's frustrating to watch this part of it. But on the other side of that, Trump continues to dominate as he is being the president here. And one of the other things, and obviously we talked about there with Roger Stone, is the Epstein files. The way, there's no question about it, the way that was handled was terrible. Now they're trying to make a pivot and come back around. They're talking about, having Maxwell testify. Let's get it out there. Why so long? Well, whatever. It doesn't matter. We can't live in the past. Let's live right now. Let's get to the bottom of this. And hopefully we watch this thing come out and play out and bite all these Democrats right in their ass. But as I said to Roger Stone, they must have a confidence about them that nothing is going to actually happen. Because why else would they be pushing to have the files released? Unless they know that it's never going to happen. Because once again, if the government is involved in it, we're never going to get the truth. Just like JFK, just like MLK, just like RFK. Right? We never get the answers. So they must have that kind of faith that, like, the Epstein thing, 60 years from now, they still ain't going to get the truth. And they must be that confident. Otherwise, why are they making the play? If it's going to bury half the politicians in their party and all their friends in Hollywood, why would they be making the play? So I don't know. Until we get to the bottom of it, everybody's theory can play. And that's the frustrating thing when it comes to Epstein. Everybody's on the list. So unless we get actual answers and transparency from our federal government, we're never going to know. And does that come with Maxwell on the stand? And then whatever she says, everyone's going to say, oh, she was doing it because of this. She was doing it because of that. So does it mean anything? I mean, there's always a way to ace yourself out of this whole thing. So much of it is frustrating. The good thing is that the economy is going in the right direction. The trade deals are coming in massive numbers, which are good things. We know that the border has been sealed completely, and just that alone, people should be put in prison for treason, for allowing the border. Like, what happened to Mayorkas? Like, why isn't that guy arrested? It's proof that the guy allowed the country to get invaded. Kamala Harris was the border czar. They allowed millions of people into the country. And it's proof that they did it on purpose by the fact that Trump was able to close it completely. They had the opportunity to do the same thing. They chose not to do it. They allowed that's treasonous. You allowed our country to get invaded. People should be in prison for that. But it seems like nothing happens. They did it intentionally, and Trump obviously came in, and now that's it was his top thing that he campaigned on, and he crushed it. And now they're getting crazy with the redistricting. Now the Democrats are like, oh, we're going to gerrymander New York and California. All of a sudden, they're acting as if they're the only people that are trying to redistrict. The Republicans, the only ones trying to redistrict. When they had the power, all they did was redistrict. They added seats. They tried to put all these illegals to count the census to redistrict. I mean, that was their whole game plan. And now they're acting as if, like, oh, Republicans are trying to take away seats. Look, it's unconstitutional. It is funny to watch them all melt down on the mainstream, though. I mean, they are losing their minds. And you know what? To me, anything that they say is completely irrelevant because they've been caught lying so many times. And I think that's why you're seeing the numbers. Like, I think J.D. Vance posted it. Somebody posted it the other day about CNN. Their numbers are so terrible. They're the lowest between all of them. And I think it's because their own base was so sick of being lied to by them. I mean, how many times, you think we're frustrated when it's like, we want to see accountability. I mean, how many times did they lead the left down the wrong path, thinking that this was it for Trump? The walls are closing in. It's the beginning of the end. They got him. And not only did he stay president for the 4 years, he came back and won again after all these CNN people were telling you it was never going to happen. It was impossible. They told you he would never win in the first place. He won. They told you he would never finish his presidency. He'd be thrown out. He didn't. And they told you he'd never be reelected, and he was. So anybody that continues to watch them has to be touched in the head. or just doesn't want the truth. All right. That's really all I got here. I appreciate you guys tuning in. I'm grateful to Roger Stone. I'm going to try to do my best. I'm trying to get General Flynn back on. Here's another guy that got screwed by this whole thing. But as the story continues to blow up, I'll try to get some more people on to talk about it. Doing my best to give you guys the best guests possible. I appreciate you guys tuning in. Don't forget to tune into the Stone Zone right here on Rumble, and make sure you bring it back next week. As I said, I'm working on guests. Follow me on X at AlecLace. I got the link down there if you want to buy me a coffee, if you want to support, if you're enjoying these shows, you could do that. And I hope you guys have a great weekend. God bless you parents and you listeners out there. God bless our police, our first responders. God bless our military and our veterans. God bless America. And I will catch you guys next week. Have a great weekend.
You're listening to the Alec Lace Show. The future is family.